Well, welcome everyone to tonight's business webinar brought to you by the Champaign Public Library. So a couple of housekeeping things before we get started. So it seems as though a lot of people are already comfortable using Zoom and using chat, but I want to encourage everyone during this webinar, if you do have any questions, comments, feel free to plug it into the chat box. If you prefer to verbalize your questions, go ahead and click on the raise hand option and I will essentially unmute you and you can communicate with either Erin or I. The chat box is also, so it doesn't just have to be about the webinar. If you're having any technical issues, feel free to let me know. I'm going to be the host tonight and also just kind of Erin's backup person and cheerleader. So let me know if you need any assistance. All right, so the Champaign Public Library, we are now back to regular hours and we have some updated information on the website. With Illinois going into phase 5, we have recently expanded our meeting room capacities, which rooms you can book and use for maybe any small business ventures and meetings. We're also always available for one-on-one appointments if you want to talk more about our business services or any other resource that the library has to offer. You can always email us or send us a chat on our website. So without further ado, I am Madeline Wolski, the business librarian. I know Erin thought I was going to introduce her right there. And now here we go for Erin. I have had the pleasure of knowing Erin for a while. She is a wonderful mainstay of Champaign culture, and she is a confidence coach for teen and tween girls and creator of the infamous Fierce and Flourish empowerment program. So she's done lots of keynote speaking. She's a parenting consultant, hosts a podcasts, and is a thought leader in the youth confidence space. So without further ado, for real this time, Erin, thank you so much for joining us today, and I will let you take it away.
Thank you for having me, Madeline, and welcome, Amalia, James, Leah, and Rich. I can say everyone's name because I see you all at the same time. I am going to start by sharing my screen with you so that we know what we're talking about today. And then I'm also going to open the chat box so I can still see it because I love interacting with people when I'm doing speaking because I want to make sure that what I'm sharing with you is hitting home, that's making an impact, that I'm answering the questions that you have. So if you are in a place where you can chat and where you can type things in, I would love that. Or if you can raise your hand and Madeline can unmute you, that would be great too. Either way. So we are going to talk about how to become more awesome on social media, boost our social media presence. I know that Leah and James both have businesses. If you have a business, I would love to hear more about what that is. If you are just wanting to boost your social media presence for yourself, that's awesome too. That's called a personal brand, and that is just as business-like. So I would love to hear about that as well, if that's something that you're interested in. So in the chat, I already kind of alluded to this, telling us who you are, what your business is, but also what is your favorite social media network that you use right now? So what are you on right now? And I just am curious as to where everybody's at so I can have a sense of what the audience looks like. So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Clubhouse, YouTube, LinkedIn, where are you at? Where are you active? That type of thing. I would love to see that in the chat. This is me. Madeline already introduced me. I'm a motivational speaker and a confidence coach for teen and tween girls. And I have been working on my business and social media for 9 years. And along that way, I have invested in business coaching and courses and all sorts of different things. And I've made lots of mistakes, but I've also done some things right. And I've learned a few things along the way. And I by no means am a social media manager or expert, but I can get you started. And I can help point you in the right direction because I know a lot of people that are experts in a lot of areas. So let's see. Amalia does not have a business, interested in learning more about social media because not very active on it. Tumblr is your favorite. Oh, that is awesome. I don't even touch on Tumblr, but it is an excellent, excellent social media source. So that's awesome. And Madeline loves Pinterest. Oh, I should have worn my Made by Mew earrings tonight. I didn't even think about it. What was I thinking? Facebook is Leah's favorite, the only one you know how to use. Started Instagram, 2 days of Pinterest. All right, awesome, very cool. So we're getting started. I love it. All right. Well, my social media stats are, these are not necessarily impressive. It's just to kind of tell you where I'm at, so you have a sense of who I am. I have 3,000 people on my personal Facebook page, which is something that I utilize. Then I have my business Facebook page, which has about 1,500 followers, Instagram about 1,200 followers, and LinkedIn I have 500 plus connections. LinkedIn kind of does it different. So those are actually the ones where I am most active, but we're going to talk a little bit about everything. So on a scale of 1 to 10 in the chat, how social media savvy do you consider yourself? 1, completely clueless. I have no idea what I'm doing. 10, I basically invented social media and I don't even know why I'm at this. So tell me where you're at. So Maddie says about a 6. Allison says about a 6. Welcome, Allison. Leah says about a 6. All right, awesome. So we like 5 says Tisha. Awesome. We're getting some more participants. James is -6. Amalia 7-ish. Awesome. I love these responses. I love that you're here to learn and to be active. I hope that I can help you. I do feel I can help you, but feel free to ask any questions if I'm not making something clear at some point along the way. I would probably rate myself around probably an 8 in the sense of I know what I should do more of, and probably a 7 in what I practice. So I'm just a little bit further along than you guys, which is perfect. Rich, 1.5, man, interesting. I love it when people get really specific with their numbers. So here are the questions that I get. So as I'm reading these off, say yes in the comments if this is a question that you have. Yes, this is a question, or no if you're like, I got this figured out. So first question that I get a lot, that I hear a lot: which platforms should I even be on? What should I be on? What should I be doing? Should I, focus on LinkedIn or Pinterest, or where should I be? What should I be doing, right? All right, yes, Leah says yes, Amalia says yes, yes, Madeline says yes. How often should I be posting? Is that a question that you've had? Yes, yes, how often, with exclamation points, says Leah. Another question I get: what should I be posting? So even if I know what platforms I'm supposed to be on and how often I should be posting, what should I be putting out there into the world based on what I'm doing? All of these things are things we're going to cover. Hashtags. I want you to put hashtag if you have questions about hashtag. So if you know what I mean by that is hashtag, right? Hashtag. Yes. Hashtag yes. Hashtag yes. What is going on? What is a hashtag? Why is it important? Do I have questions about it? Yes. And then last but not least, inevitably, no matter what you're doing with social media, there's like, okay, what am I missing? What do I not understand? What else do I need to know? So these are the questions that we're going to touch on together tonight. So my question to you is, which one of those questions is most pressing for you right now? Is one of those stand out as more than the others? Is like, this is something that is really bugging me, or this is something that I just can't figure out, or just can't wrap my brain around? Or is it all of them? Or is it none of them? Are you like, oh, I've got all this figured out, no big deal? I would love to know which ones are pressing for you. Actually, I wonder if I can go back so you can see them, and then you can type the ones that you're like, wait, which one is it for me? I get so excited that I have to drink more water. All of the above. Frequency of posting is most pressing. Yes. I'm like, which social media should I use? Yes. What should I post? What to post? Excellent. Yes. All right. Well, we're going to cover all of that. So the first question: which platform should I be on? The short and most difficult answer is all of them, but not really. If you have someone who manages your social media, then you should definitely let them figure out how to plan all of them. If you, like me, are a solopreneur, meaning you do it all yourself, or maybe you and even just one other person, then we have some questions to ask to help you figure out which platforms you should be on. The first question you need to ask is, where's your audience? Who are the people you're trying to connect with? So the people that James is trying to connect with, who are gamers, who are creating games, might be in one space, whereas the people that I'm trying to connect with, which are moms of teen girls, might definitely be on Facebook. Or if, it really depends on what you do. So I would love you to put in the comments, who are your ideal customers? What do those people look like? Are they men? Are they women? Are they of a certain age? Do they live in a certain area? Tell me who that ideal customer is that you're looking for. Knowing who your customer is going to help you decide which platform to be on. That is number one. That's the number one thing. So I'd love to know who your customer is. Second thing, where are you most comfortable? I can tell you right now, Allison says non-native English speakers, usually academics or advanced degrees. Interesting. So where are they going to be? Are they going to be more on Twitter, do we think? Or are they going to be more on LinkedIn or Facebook? Academics and advanced degrees. I wonder if there's a more academic social media. No, LinkedIn is more for business, so interesting. But where are you most comfortable? Which platforms have you kind of used and feel like, okay, this is something that I can do? That's going to be another question. Teen girls are part of my audience. And so in theory, I should be all over TikTok, but I'm not, because I'm not comfortable there yet. That doesn't mean I won't get there, but right now I'm not comfortable there yet. Because the third question that you need to ask yourself about which platform you need to be on is where you can be consistent. That is the most important thing. The platform you need to be on is the one, maybe two, as a solopreneur, where you can be consistent. Because the most important thing about social media is consistency. Write it down. I want you to put consistency in the chat so that you know that if you learn nothing else from my presentation, except that I have a really cool hat with an avocado on it, consistency, exactly. Leah says consistency. Amalia says consistency. Consistency is the number one thing. It is everything when it comes to social media. Literally everything. Every single platform has algorithms that reward you for being consistent on their platform. So if you spend a week on Twitter and then a week on Instagram and a week on Facebook and you don't commingle, you're not really maximizing your impact on social media. So the place that you choose to be consistent is the best place. If your audience is also there, that's actually perfect. So that is the one thing you have to remember. So how often should you post? Ironically, this ties in with what we just talked about. You need to post as often as you can and be consistent with it. So if as much as you have in your day going on, you've got kids, you've got pets, you've got a job, you've got meal planning and whatever you have on your plate, and the most you can post is once a week, then be consistent once a week and make sure you post once a week at that same time as much as possible. If you can post once a day, that's even better. But think about your life. There is no hard and fast rule about what is best. What is best is what you can be consistent with. Now, in an ideal world, you would post at least 5 times a week. One post 5 times a week, right? On your chosen platform. But that also is going to vary from platform to platform, to be quite honest. And we're going to get into that a little later, depending on what your chosen platform is. But at a minimum, you would want to shoot for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you can't do that, choose how much you can be consistent. Maybe it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday for you. Maybe you have 3 posts a week, but you show up consistently without fail for the next 3 to 6 months, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. What can you do? This is like an evaluative thing. Is there such a thing as posting too much? That depends on your audience. I personally have never unfollowed someone because I thought they posted too much. Personal people I have, but businesses never, because not everyone is seeing every single one of your posts. It just is not happening. The algorithms do not let everyone see your posts. So you posted once and said, oh, I have this really cute thing that I'm selling. Does anyone want to buy it? And like 2 people commented and that's it. And you're like, oh, I guess no one wants to see. No one wants that. No, it's not that they don't want it. It's that at least half, if not more of your audience didn't even see it. So there's really not. If you are really trying to make an income specifically, if you're trying to leverage your business, there really isn't necessarily such a thing as posting too much. But what you can do is repurpose posts in different ways so that it doesn't look like you're just spamming people, if that resonates. We don't want to spam people. So maybe that would be the too much thing. Don't spam people, but we're going to mix up our content, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So I want you to put in the chat, how many times a week do you think you could be consistent at posting? Where do you think your audience is? And what do you think, how many times do you think you could be consistent? Just out of curiosity. This is not set in stone. This is just you reflecting as we're talking about what you think. And we're going to get into this more. We'll have some Q&A at the end so we can talk about it more. But Rich says 3 times a week. Madeline says 3 times a week. Allison says 2. Tisha says 2. See, yes, I love this, you guys. I love this. You're being honest with yourself. You are thinking about what's realistic about your life. And then you are going to be able to commit to what works for you. So don't let anyone come along and be like, well, if you're not posting 3 times a day, you're not doing good enough. No, you have to do what works for you consistently, because consistency, type it again if you need to remember, is the key. So Amalia, if you can do twice and be consistent with that, you are getting an A+, because that's exactly what you need to do. What should I be posting? How many of you had this question? Okay, I know that I need to post, but what should I even be posting about? What am I supposed to do? Like, this is too stressful. This is called your content strategy, and it very much depends on your goals. And so I realize as I'm talking, there's a lot of like, well, this, well, that. And let me tell you why. Literally, there are people that will sell a course on the minutest part of like Instagram Reels, for example. So Instagram has all these different features, and one of those features is Reels. And there will be people selling a 6-week course for $1,000 on that little piece. So that is why I'm talking in very broad strokes here and trying to give you lots of information. As we go along tonight, if you have specific questions about specific platforms or specific content strategies, I am here to direct you to the people that you need to start following that will help you in those specific areas, because I've heard from a bit of all of them. So I can direct you after that. But I don't want you to think, oh my, this is like drinking through a fire hose. There's so much when it comes to social media. There's so much, but we're just kind of giving a very high overview of the things that you need to be thinking about. So content strategy, I'm going to share with you right now 3 different content strategies for you to kind of think about and choose one that you think might work for you, because there are as many content strategies as there are stars in the sky. These are 3 that I've heard consistently over the last 9 years that seem to be effective, that seem to be easy for people to wrap their brains around without having a social media manager, which is what we're talking about right now. We're not talking about any of you becoming social media managers. We're talking about you finding the ways to fit managing your social media into your life to leverage, your business or whatever it is that you're doing. Okay. So the first content management strategy is answering your ideal clients' questions, 52 per year. This is what I use the most. I literally wrote down 52 questions, 1 per week, that my clients have asked me, or I think that are important for them to understand the answers to when they're engaging with me. And then that's what my content is based on each week. It's based on answering that question, because that is when people are going to follow you, when what you are doing is helpful to them, because they might not be ready to buy. There's something called a know, like, and trust factor. Write that in the comments if you're listening. Know, like, trust. And that is what you are building when you are engaging in social media with people. You are building the know, like, and trust factor. And because most people are not going to see your widget or your service and be like, oh, that's exactly what I need. I'm buying it right now. They're going to see your widget and they're going to, that's interesting. Maybe I'll scroll through that. And then because of the way algorithms work, you'll probably come back in their feed again some other time. And then maybe they'll see something else that you post, and maybe something else. And the more they see you, the more they know who you are. And the more they know who you are, they decide, do I like them or do I not like them? And that's not, you can't make that decision for people. Some people will be your people, some people won't. But the more authentic you are, with the content that you're putting out, the more they'll know if they like you. So you want them to like you. First, they'll know you because they keep following you. Two, they'll start to like you. And then when they trust you, that's when they buy from you. So it takes time. This is not it's usually not oh my gosh, I saw this business and I bought tomorrow. Some people do that. Most do not. Most are going to follow you for a while, see what you have to offer, decide what they want from you when they want it. So 52 questions. That is one content approach. Another one is the My Three Things approach. So for example, this is particularly effective if you are using a personal page as opposed to a business page. So when I'm talking about content and answering my 52 questions, I'm doing that from my business page mostly. I'll occasionally share things on my personal page, but this is great if your brand is specifically leveraging your personal page, which most of you are going to need to do because personal pages are going to get a lot more traction than business pages. You should still have a business page, but you're going to need to use your personal page as well. So the My Three Things approach. So for example, Leah sells things that she makes. So that's one of her things, is talking about things that she makes, how she makes them, why she makes them, the stories behind them, those types of things. Then she might talk about another passion of hers. Maybe she loves cooking. So she's going to post occasionally about cooking. And maybe she likes to read horror novels or something. I'm totally making this up, Leah. So, and maybe she posts about those. So those would be three things. And the idea behind that is that when someone starts following you for one purpose, because they're like interested in what you're reading, then they might also be interested in what you're making. And so you're kind of getting them in with one type of content and you're rotating these three types of content. So if you're decided to post 3 times a week, one of those posts would be about your business and what you're doing there. One might be about one of your hobbies and one might be about something else. One quick note on here, one of your 3 things is probably not your kids unless your business is totally about your kids. That doesn't mean you shouldn't post about your kids, but it just means that like that doesn't necessarily, most people are not going to be pulled into your other stuff because of the content you're posting about your kids, if that makes sense. So hit me up in the comments if you have more questions about that. The third content strategy, which is very similar to number 2, is just kind of an expanded number 2, is kind of based on the 5 weeks, 5 weeks-ish of a month, of a week, I mean. So one day you would post, if you posted 5 times a week, which this is a more intense one. And I don't usually do this one, but I do pulse from it sometimes. But one of your posts would be about credibility, saying, here's a satisfied customer. Here's something we did for someone. Here's a way that someone who liked, and trust us gave us a thumbs up, right? So that would be one post. Another post would be your vulnerability post, meaning just kind of like opening yourself up a little bit, sharing a little bit more about who you are with your audience and why you do what you do. And then the other 3 would be the personality ones that we talked about on the My Three Things approach. So just those fun things about yourself that are helping to build your business and your brand and your personal side. And then one more, once a month. So this isn't every week, once more, your deep why, like your big, fat, hairy, audacious goal of like, this is why I'm put on this earth, why, once a month. Did you say number 2 is for your business page or personal page? Yes, the number 2 is more for your personal page. So mixing those things up. So one of those 3 things might be sharing from your business page would be one of your things onto your personal page. And then the other 2 things would be other interests that you have that people would start friending and following you because of. And there's no hard and fast rules about how to use the personal page and the business page. But we'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to Facebook. But know that if you are just starting your business page, you need to be consistent with posting on that, either the 1 or 2 times a week. But you're probably also going to have to leverage your personal page at the beginning because those business pages just don't get a lot of traction until they start to get traction for what that's worth. So hashtags. Should I use them? What do you think? What do you think? Do you think you should use them? Yes, 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 and yes, and yes, you should use them. It does depend on the platform. However, Facebook just started using hashtags. Here's the thing, you have to know how to use them to some degree. Again, there are whole trainings on how to use hashtags, but I'm just going to give you a couple of quick things to help understand what the point of them is. The hashtags are like, since we're talking about the library, they're like the card catalog of how you would search something out. What topic do you want? Do you want a finance book? Hashtag finance is what you're going to look for. Do you want posts on vegan cooking? Hashtag vegan cooking is what you're going to look for. So this is how your people that don't know you find you. And there's so much to it. You don't want to use hashtags that are too big. You don't want to use hashtags that are too small. You don't want to use, when people start doing like hashtag, I don't know why this is happening. That's not a good hashtag. No one's going to find you or what you do by that. So if you see people using hashtags like that, they're just, I don't know what they're doing. That's not an accurate or a good hashtagging method. Using hashtags, just think about it as this is how people find what I'm doing. So if you're like crafty homemaker, hashtag crafty homemaker, you know, there would be people passively that will follow that hashtag that are looking for homemakers who are making crafts. Like that's who they want to purchase from. So that's what they're looking for. But again, I can point you to some strategies on that. Madeline, did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So when you say business page, are you talking about both Instagram and Facebook? This was in relation to the number 2 content strategy, I believe.
Yes. So when it comes to Instagram, so Instagram and Facebook have like merged themselves. And so when you post on your Instagram, you can also post it to your business page, and some of the messaging is overlapping. So it depends on how you want to use your Instagram. I have multiple Instagram accounts, but really I just use one and I use it for my business. I don't really, but we can talk about how you can integrate both your personal life and your business on Instagram. But the 3 things works really well for the columns in Instagram. If you want to do like one whole column is your business, one whole column is your second, cooking, and then the third is what did I say? Horror books, whatever. So that could work really well. If you want to do it that way, it works out really easily in the rule of 3 for Instagram and keeps you kind of on track. But that's totally up to you. But yeah, there are some intricacies with how they're integrated. So a lot of this is how you want to show up. I decided very early on that Instagram would be for my business. It was not going to be for my family, but I do still post about my family. So I'll talk more about that in a little bit. Did that answer your question at all, Maddie?
Yes, I think so.
If people and if my answer seems muddled and I'm not understanding the question or something, just let me know, and I will more often than not just try to direct you to the right resource that will help you more with that. So, and the last question that we get a lot: tell me what I don't know that I need to know, and I'm like, y'all. Like I said before, there is so much to this social media. Don't let it overwhelm you. Baby steps. Break it down into the smallest thing that you can do and not feel overwhelmed by, and just do that part consistently. That's it. We are doing, like I said, a huge overview of a lot of things. Break it down into the smallest step. Like we said, if it's posting 2 times a week, let's think about it in that way. What am I going to post 2 times a week? Which days am I going to post? Let me block out some time for how I'm going to post. Try to take all the guesswork out of it as you can ahead of time and make it as simple as you can, because there's always going to be more when it comes to social media. They are changing things constantly. As soon as you think you have it figured out, they're changing things. You know what? Doesn't matter how awesome you are or how well you do it. You know what does matter? How consistent you are. Consistency has always, since the dawn of the Book of Faces, trumped everything else. The people that have made it big and gone viral in all of these different places are often because they were the most consistent, not because they were the best. So erase some of your filters of like, oh, I can't post that, or I shouldn't post that, or I don't want to do that. It's going to be fine. We're going to get through it together, but there's a lot. And I can't tell you everything you need to know because I don't know everything you need to know, but we will get through it together. So what we're going to do now, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat or raise your hand so Madeline can share, or you can share. But what we're going to do now is we're going to do an overview of the different platforms a little bit. So you can ask questions about specific ones. If I know the answer, yay, I will share it with you. If I don't, I will say, here's the person that you can help, or I will point to them later. I'm going to start with my least favorite and go down to my favorite. So Pinterest is so much my least favorite that I almost didn't even list it. And y'all, I didn't list Tumblr because I will, Reddit and Tumblr are also basically social medias, but I just don't like, I have zero expertise in them. So I apologize in advance. Allison said, I used to use the same hashtags for all my posts, heard that it was not good for the algorithm. Can I split them in half and rotate? Yes, there are lots of different hashtag theories. And there should be a set that you use that are specific kind of that to you, so you know how to consistently find your stuff, but you're also going to want to not rotate, but like choose new ones for each post that are specific to that post. How do these theories differ from platform to platform? Instagram was kind of the creator of the hashtags. And in Instagram, you can use quite a few hashtags. On Facebook and TikTok, you're not going to want to use as many. They really say that you should limit them. I don't know the why behind the they, but Instagram, it seems to be, you can max out your hashtags. I think you can use like 20 some. But on the other platforms, they don't want you to use that many. And I think that people get overwhelmed by them. But yes, you can go down a rabbit hole if you Google how to use hashtags on Instagram or how to use hashtags on TikTok, and they will give you a lot of information. Once you choose your platform, I think that's most important, and then start learning from the people that are effectively using hashtags on that platform. So that's the key. Find your platform first before you start figuring out what your hashtags are. So if you know Instagram is your platform, then we can start Googling and looking up YouTube people who are effectively leveraging Instagram specifically, using hashtags, using alt text, all this stuff that I don't use because it's so technical in those areas. So that's my non-answer answer. Twitter, I also don't use because it overwhelms me. It's scary to me. But I'm going to show you really quickly, both by kind of Pinterest and Instagram. I'm going to share my other screen with you. This is the library's Twitter account, and they use it quite well. They do a very nice job. You can use visuals on Twitter now. You didn't used to be able to. The character count has gone up. But if you like watch a feed go through, it just updates so freaking quickly that it can be overwhelming if you don't know what you're looking for. So if this is your platform, you're into short statements, as quick as can be, and it is very text heavy. There now are visuals, but it's more text heavy than maybe the other platforms. You have to say what you're going to say as quickly as you can. The other thing about hashtags on Twitter is that they're part of your character count. So that's why people don't use as many on Twitter as well. But you can see this is how people explore. What are the hashtags that are trending and what do I want to see? Again, not my favorite, but maybe it is for you. So I would love to hear if Twitter is a favorite for anybody. And then Pinterest is the opposite. It's very visual. It's all about the visual. What are the pictures? What do those look like? This is my homepage, so you can tell what they think I'm interested in. Workout for arms, fat, follow more. No idea why they think that. I don't use Pinterest, so I don't know why they think I want that. But DIY dinosaur hats and bags, that's appropriate because my daughter is dinosaur obsessed. If you have arts and crafts and things that you make that is very visual, this might be a very good platform for you. I don't know a lot about how to locally do this and if you don't ship, but if you ship, this is still a good option. Yes, Leah, I think it could be very, very good for you. And what you would want to do, Leah, to figure out how to share better on there is you want to go follow other makers on Pinterest. So find makers who are using Pinterest, see what they're doing, see what types of things they are posting. Are they just posting pictures? Are they posting how-tos? A lot of times you'll click on some of these things and it'll be a link straight to an Etsy shop. So that's a way that some people are using it. That's what you're going to want to look for, people that are already using it effectively. So that's my least favorite. Sorry, friends, if those are the ones that you love. And I can't help you more on those two. Next, YouTube is not technically considered social media. However, it is definitely media. And if you do anything video-wise, you need to be posting your videos on YouTube because it is searchable. It's basically a search engine. It is searchable. So if you are doing something where you feel like you can leverage it through video, you should be hosting those on YouTube and then sharing those on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and wherever else. So I would love to know if anybody's into making videos, if that's something that they think that would be good for their brand, because YouTube is definitely somewhere where you can put that. Both of my daughters, a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old, have YouTube channels. So it's something that is very doable for any age, regardless of what you're doing. So I would love to hear if anybody's interested in that. Clubhouse. Oh, I'm an accent coach. Yes, Allison, yes. Video would be super huge for that. So putting things on YouTube and then being able to share them other places, absolutely. And Rich says, yes, YouTube as well. Exactly. And it's super easy to create a video and throw it up there. Like they've made it very, very easy. And you can find videos on YouTube about how to post videos on YouTube if you don't know how. So definitely check that out. And then sharing them on other social media that's already one of your posts, right? Clubhouse. How many of you have heard of Clubhouse? I'm curious how many people have been into this. This is the newest social media network. It is all audio. It was originally only for iPhones. Allison loves Clubhouse. Yay. It was originally only for iPhones. They just opened it up not too long ago to non-iPhones. What do they call that? What's a non-iPhone called? I can't even remember what an Android, there you go. I'm like, what is that called? What's most important on Clubhouse, if this is somewhere where you want to be, nothing is recorded. Everything is live. It's like a ongoing conversation podcast. Who you follow makes a huge difference. So if someone invites you, if anyone wants an invite, let me know. I have tons of invites to give away. You just have to text me and then I invite you. Who you follow indicates what they're going to show you as far as rooms that are available for you at the beginning. So you need to kind of be thoughtful about who you're following, and that will indicate what you see. And your profile page is very important on Clubhouse because that is the only way that people really know about you. And it links back to either your Instagram or your Twitter. So if you're going to do Clubhouse, you need to have some sort of presence on Instagram or Twitter, because that's how people are going to find you after the room is closed, after there's no more audio, after there's no more conversation. Clubhouse, I find, can be a huge time suck. Some people really love it, but for most people, it's probably not going to be your first place to go. But if you're interested in learning more about that, I'd be happy to talk with people later about what I think of it, what my experience has been like with it. But it's probably not the best one for most of us. TikTok. How many of you love scrolling TikTok? I'm very curious. Who loves TikTok? Because I'm a big fan. Yes. Amalia loves it. Yes. I love it. It's just, I mean, it's constant. I used to say we lived in a microwave generation. That's not even it. We live in a TikTok generation. Our attention spans are 15 to 25 seconds each. And it's largely because of TikTok and Reels, right? Rich says he's not that much of a TikTok fan. I can appreciate that. Your page is very important, who you're following, and the for you. Those are the kind of the sections. Let me see if I can show you actually on a computer, which is kind of crazy because it's really more of a phone social media, but you can actually pull it up on your computer. These are the things that are for me. These are the things that they think that I will be most interested in checking out. You can see my profile. That's not even me. This is so crazy. So I have 0 followers. I'm not following, 0 likes. This is my wrong account. This is my one with my my Erin Tarr email, not my Benchmark email, because Benchmark is what's connected to. Yeah, Leah, if you're not on TikTok, again, huge time suck. But literally, I will tell you this, anyone can be successful on TikTok because it is not just for teens. It is not just for kids. There is literally moms on there. There are business people on there. You know what? I got some of the best tax advice on TikTok. I'm not kidding. There's like a guy that does financial advising and he gave me great advice on TikTok. There are artists on there. There are creators. There are dancers, of course, but literally you name it, they're on there. So if you're looking for something, you can find it there. That doesn't mean you need to create there, but I'm telling you, don't count it out, especially in the future, because you're like, oh, that's only for the kids or that's only for this. No, there are people of all ages and all interests on TikTok. But it's short form video, and there's a lot of complexities to it. But I would say if you're interested in this one, the big thing is just use it. Just use it consistently, the same way you would do with anything else, and you will get better at it. You will suck at it at first, and you will hate your videos. Leave them up. It's fine. You never know what's going to happen. The great thing about TikTok, I will tell you, is that the algorithms still aren't an issue yet. Anybody can get huge numbers on TikTok because they haven't monetized the platform in the same way. You know how on Facebook you have to buy ads or these types of things. It's still very easy for people to get in on TikTok. And they've been saying this for like a couple of years now, and it's still that way. So if you enjoy making short videos, this could be the place for you. And sometimes I just talk. Like if you want to follow me, I'd have to check what mine is. But if you're interested in following, you can see that I don't do anything special. People just talk and share their wisdom and advice in snippets. So it can be really fun. Next is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my third favorite of all of the social medias because this is a business page. And the way that this one works, you have your own page, which I will show you mine. You have your feed just like you would in Facebook. You can write articles and you can also have groups. So there's a lot. It's a very dense social media place. It is mostly for people in business. But if you are someone like Leah, for example, that makes things and you want to make things at scale, like let's say you specialize in one certain thing, or who was it earlier that was, they make game pieces. If you want to sell to a company because they want a bunch of those, LinkedIn would be where you start to make connections with those people. So it's less one-on-one and more one-to-many. So if you want to make a connection with a company that wants to buy a lot of your things, is more what you're looking for on LinkedIn. So I will show you mine really quickly and a couple of things if you want to be on LinkedIn that you would want to look at. This is my personal page. What you're going to be able to see on here is kind of cool compared to like Facebook. I can see how many people viewed my profile this week, how many people viewed posts that I wrote, and how many times I appeared in searches. So if you're going to be on LinkedIn, the thing to do is to make sure that you have an awesome personal page. These are articles that I've written. This is the activity I've done. Make sure that all your experience, as much as possible, is put on here. And then you can get endorsed by other people. You could ask people to endorse you. And that all like leverages what you do. There's a lot of IMing, instant messaging, that goes on in LinkedIn. Oh, I see that someone in the chat. Do I make a business page or just on your personal page? Are you talking about for LinkedIn or for TikTok? On LinkedIn, it is business. It is your business page. You are your business on LinkedIn. So it's one and the same. What you're this is more like the resume. This is what you're good at, what your specialties are, where you've worked. But you want to write it in kind of an aspirational way.
So I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So if you scroll back up,
yes.
I guess you have like the page for be the benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess this is technically, so like it is your personal page and then be the benchmark is your business page, right?
Exactly. But no
Okay.
one follows the business pages.
Well, that's good to know though, especially if people aren't really interacting with the businesses, it's kind of a
Especially small businesses. People might be interacting with Fortune 500 companies on here, but with small businesses, it's much less it's much less likely that someone's going to find you through your business page on LinkedIn. They're going to come find you
right.
because they
Okay.
know you and they want to do business with you. So yeah, I have that there just so it looks more official. And part of the reason you have a business page, that's a good point, Maddie, is because then down here in my experience, I can have a logo. If I don't have a business page, this shows up as some generic thing. And I don't want it to look generic. I want it to look professional. So I made myself a business page so I could have a logo down there on my resume part. Would you need 2 pages on LinkedIn then? So what you would probably do is you would hold 2 concurrent positions. So down here, you can see I have business and administrative associate at the University of Illinois. I'm still working there for another 30 days. So that is one of my things. And then I have my business here. I'm doing currently. The only reason you would totally want to do them separate is if you don't want anyone to know that you're doing both, which would be really tricky if you want to really leverage social media. Like you kind of have to be out there. So I would put them both on the same page and people can connect with you on either one. But write more about and leverage this towards where you want to go. So if you want to do more teaching and you want to do more with your current day job, then write this page as though that's what you're doing more of. You can add in the L&B designs, but don't emphasize that. If you want L&B designs to be the thing that's growing, write it more with that. Like, oh, also, I have a day job teaching, but this is what's really going on. And that's the way you want to write it. So just depends on what you want for the future when you think about LinkedIn. So yeah, great question. All right, back to here. So now we're getting to the ones that I really enjoy. So here's the ones that I have fun with. So Instagram. I have become a more recent Instagram lover, I guess you would say, because I figured out so much more about it since last fall. So Maddie chose the right time to invite me to do this presentation because prior to basically October of last year, I would have been like, I don't know how to leverage things because I have not been doing a good job, but I got some great training and I've been doing much better. And they say, whoever they are, they say that your business often follows your social media presence by 6 weeks. So once you are consistent for 6 to 8 weeks is when you're going to start to see the fruit of that labor. And that is exactly what happened to me. I could almost count the weeks and all of a sudden people started instant messaging me and asking about my business or asking me to interview me about what I was doing or saying, can I refer you to a friend of mine who I think would benefit from your services, blah, 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 blah. Like literally, I've been doing this for 9 years. I have never been consistent in that time. And I'll tell you why. Because I consistently fed my children, and I consistently went to my job, and I consistently, did a lot of other things. And so social media always fell to the bottom. But when I made social media a priority because I knew I wanted to build my business to a new level after 9 years, I'm telling you, 6 weeks later, I started to see the fruit of that in a way that I had not seen in the previous 9 years. So I'm here to tell you that when you choose a platform and when you get consistent, you're going to see the benefits. Hopefully it doesn't come at the exclusion of like feeding your children or going to work or doing other things that you need to do. Mine did not. I was able to finally work it in because I realized how important it was. But here's the things that are on Instagram. There's so many fun things on Instagram: posts, stories, reels, and lives. These are the 4 main components of Instagram. The posts, I'm going to show you over on my thing. Sorry. Keep going back and forth. I hope I'm not giving you guys that like whiplash or headache or anything. Okay. The posts are what's going to show up on your homepage here. This is not what most people are looking at. This is where they will come If they see you in their feed and they're intrigued by something you have posted, you will get into their feed if they already know you or if they follow a hashtag that you used and you show up in their feed. So that's where those hashtags come back to be important. This is my post that I did today that I was at the library. And here are the hashtags I use: public libraries, Chambana. If you are in the Champaign-Urbana area and anything you're doing is relevant to Chambana, that's always a good hashtag to use. Women-owned small business. That's me. I'm a woman-owned small business. And so that was a relevant hashtag for me. Solopreneurs. Create your life is a huge hashtag. I don't recommend using that, except that that is part of my tagline for my business. And so I continue to use it, even though I'm probably not getting people looking at my page because of it, because the hashtag's too big. I continue to use it because it's relevant to my business. It's part of my tagline. And what's cool is I can view these insights because I have a business account, which it will ask you if you want it. You can say, yes, I want a business account. It does not cost you anything. And then you can see, I can see 3 people from this post went and looked at my page. And of those, only less than 1 weren't already following me. So most people that saw this were already following me, but it reached 243 accounts. I got 60 likes, 1 comment. I made that comment. 1 person saved it. Who could it be? I don't know. But you can find out things like this when you have a business or a creator account, which are free for you. And you can always switch back if you don't like using it that way. So I definitely recommend giving it a shot and seeing what you like. So this is how you do a post. It's just a picture. This is actually a post that has multiple. I used multiple pictures that are all basically the same picture. But the great thing about this is the second time someone sees it in their feed, they'll see the second picture. The third time they see it in their feed, they'll see the third picture. So you can actually get more eyeballs on your stuff if you put 3 or 4 pictures in this called carousel. So that's a pro tip. Usually I don't post the same picture, but my daughter does. And so I was making fun of her and mocking that she posts the same picture over and over. Then we have the reels. These are exactly like TikToks, except I find them much easier to do for some reason. I don't know why. You can see how many, this is insane. 3,000 people saw this or played this. Maybe not 3,000 people. It was played 3,000 times, you can see. Then I think my very first one was played over 5,000 times. Yeah. But then this one only got 200 times. You know, you just never know. There's very little rhyme or reason that I can tell with these reels, but they're fun to make. And then you can click to include them in your post. So you can see they have a little preview in the post of the reel, and it has that little icon up in the corner that shows that that's a reel. The Igtv is where you go live. I've gone live quite a bit. Video is huge, y'all. If you can get yourself to go live, even just like once every other week, you will get more likes and comments and everything. The platforms, all of the platforms, as far as I can tell, really like video. They really like to see live videos come up, and they're going to boost your account if you're getting, if you're putting more lives out there. They want you to utilize that part. I'm not going to go get into guides right now. I have a couple of guides if you want to, oh, maybe I only have 1 guide. I'm not going to go into that right now, but I will say this about Instagram specifically. If you choose Instagram as your one that you're going to shoot for, the more of these that you can use, if you use posts and guides and reels and live, they will reward you for using as many of those parts of their platform because they want you to do that. And then this is your stories. This is how I leverage Instagram personal versus professional. And this is how I've heard a lot of people do this. It's not a hard and fast rule, but your page is professional, your stories are personal. So people are going to watch your stories, which are just short things that they can scroll through at the top because they just want to know about the rest of your life. They're going to come to your page if they want to know about what you're doing in business. That's the theory I've heard. A lot of people seem to be following that right now. So I would encourage you to think about it that way. I am totally running out of time, you guys. I love talking about Instagram. I'm sorry. Last but not least, Facebook. Facebook is my favorite because I've been on it the longest, because I have the most followers on it. I have a personal page, I have a business page, and I have multiple groups. If you are trying to leverage Facebook, the place where you're going to get the most traction is in groups where people have specifically said, I want to be in a group with you. I want to know what you're sharing. I want to be here. That being said, people only interact in those groups if they see what's happening, and if they are not interacting within the first, I don't even know, maybe 10 to 15 days, Facebook will stop showing it to them. So you have to tag them. But it's much easier to tag people in a group that have said, yes, I would like to be in this group with you. So I'm going to tag you to show you all the things that I'm putting in this group, than it is on just a random, your open page, right? So you can see my family is definitely one of the things that I post about a lot. But I'll also post about business. Like, this is kind of a business post because this is me sharing other businesses in Chambana that I support, because I also appreciate their support. So this is a business post because it's somewhere where I got publicity, but I'm sharing it on my personal page. This is my business page. So you can see I share some of the same things, right? And I'll share articles that are interesting to other people, that are relevant to what my business does. Lots of pictures, lots of pictures. Pictures are always going to get boosted more. Videos are going to get boosted even more than that. You also want to stay on their site as much as you can, whether it's Instagram or Facebook. Well, Instagram, you can't even put outside links. They don't hyperlink. But on Facebook, when I post something like this, that it's an article that goes to CNN.com, it's not going to get nearly the reach as something that keeps people on Facebook. They want to keep people on the platform. So you have to consider that when you're sharing outside links. These are literally just like random things that I am telling you now, because there's so much. Like, I could literally do an hour on Facebook groups alone. But I feel like I was just trying to give you a big fat overview. And I ended up probably selling Facebook group short. But what I really want to know, A, have I totally overwhelmed you? And B, if I haven't, what action can you take? Like, what have you learned, or what are you going to take forward with you that you're like, okay, this makes more sense to me now? Or have I just totally confused you? Which, if I have, I apologize. It's a lot. It's a lot. What do you think? Consistency is key. That is the main thing that you have to learn today. Consistency is key. That is so true. That is so true. Yes, there is going to be a recorded link of this. Absolutely. That is happening. So that will go up on YouTube. Post consistently, post a variety of things, not just what you're selling. Exactly. Because people do get bored sometimes, but if you're doing something, if you're answering questions that they want to know about, a lot of times with things that people are making, I love to see how they made it. I'm never going to go make that thing. I don't know how to make things, but I like to watch how other people make things. Allison's going to try IG Lives. Yes, that will be so awesome. It will be so awesome. And you can save it and continue to post it. So even if nobody shows up live, you can save that, Allison, and that will be of benefit to your platform. If you make physical products, it's okay to show pics of prototypes. Yes, James, if you're not following Made in Urbana and like copying everything they're doing, you need to be following Made in Urbana and copying everything they're doing, everything they post, and I only say that, I don't actually encourage people to copy someone else per se, but you can gain a lot of inspiration. Like I told Leah on Pinterest, and I'm telling James on Instagram, like, go follow accounts that are really working and that are doing something similar to you, and then bring your own spin to it, because you have to be genuine. You have to be you. Like, I could have showed up tonight in like a dress with my hair done and but that's not me. This is me. And so this is how I'm going to show up, whether I'm on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, because your vibe attracts your tribe, and you're not for everybody, and your product is not for everybody. And that's good. Actually, you want to be as unique as you can on social media, whatever platform you choose to post on consistently. You have to show up as you, and then weed out the people that are not your customers. That's okay. There's room for everybody. What else? Anybody, any other questions, any other action that people are going to be taking? Anything else that I can help you with in these last literal 1 minute? I'm happy to stick around, but I want to honor your time as well. So I don't want to assume that everyone can stick around forever.
I'm also happy to stick around if conversations continue. So I guess I have a question.
Yeah.
Rich K has one first though. When will you give us another webinar?
Is that to you? Is that to Madeline or is that to me?
I think that might be to both of us or to you specifically. I have a feeling a lot of similar, maybe social media tips and tricks might come out on your social media, Erin, possibly.
I mean, yeah, I can definitely do a deeper dive on each one of these to some degree. Now, again, y'all, I have never claimed to be an expert because I know so many people. And if you're looking for someone to manage your social media, I have many people that I could refer you to. They're not necessarily cheap, but you can also learn so much just by following them on Instagram, on YouTube, whatever place you choose, follow people on that platform that are teaching how to use that platform. People are giving out so much free good information, so much. I just urge you to not get overwhelmed when you start following them because it is easy to do. But if you need tips on who, drop into my, I'm going to put, what should I put on here? On Instagram, this is me on Instagram. So feel free to drop into my IMs if you're on Instagram and ask me any questions. I would be happy to point you in the right direction. Like I said, I'm probably not going to have most of the answers, but I'll point you in the right direction, especially because things change and this is just not my specialty area. Now, if you have questions about teen girls and their development and their health and their friendships, IM me all day because I am an expert in that. But you can IM me about this so I can point you in the right direction. On Facebook, I'm just Erin Tarr at Be the Benchmark. You can message me there too. I'm always open for new friends, happy to have more friends on my personal page. So I would love to help you with that. But I could definitely do deeper dives in any of those areas because, like I said, it's like drinking through a fire hose. There's so much, but consistency is key.
Yes. And that really resonated too, I think, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I am kind of an all or nothing individual, which isn't the healthiest thing, especially when it comes to social media. Like I want to have a stylized photo shoot where I can take really beautiful pictures of all my products and make sure everything looks perfect. And I tend to get overwhelmed really easily by that. Like, well, I can't post anything because nothing is up to that certain standard that I have right now. But I really like your message about like, you know what, be vulnerable, be yourself. People are going to take a shine to that and become more interested in your brand and your products.
Exactly. 100%. And I mean, I'm speaking to myself when I say all those things because it's reminding myself, like, because there will be days where I'm like, all day I'll go without posting something or without whatever. And I'm like, I really need to post. I really need to do something. And I had that idea, but maybe that's dumb or I didn't get the graphic right or blah, blah, blah. Just do it. Just throw it out there. I mean, 90% of what you post is not going to be seen by most people anyway. I hate to say that, but it's true. But it's true. That's why you have to just keep putting stuff out there. That's why consistency is so important. You do not have to be the best. You just need to be the most consistent. You be the most consistent you. Because yeah, it's everything. And I believed when people told me that, but it wasn't until I did it myself that I'm like, dang, that's really true. I could do a training at some point about how I specifically use something called, I go deep dive into how I do my content, which is the content diamond, and how I take one piece of content that takes me anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour to create. And then I split it up in a million different ways to post throughout the week. So it's one piece of content that lasts me all week, basically.
Oh, that's interesting.
So, yeah, I'd be happy to talk more about that because that is really what helped me to be consistent. I created content on Sunday and then I had something for the rest of the week and I didn't really have to worry about it the rest of the week. I just had to remember to hit send, basically.
Yeah. Well, if you're comfortable going into it now, I mean, you're welcome to.
I can totally give you an overview. So what I do is I take that 52 questions, I take one question off my 52 question and I create a 6 to 8 minute video. That's just how long it is for me because that's how long it takes me to do something. That could be as short as a minute or as long as 10 minutes, probably. Madeline, before this ends, just want to say thank you.
Oh, thank you for coming, Rich. It's a pleasure to have you here.
And what I do is I will cut that down into small, I will post that video on YouTube. I will put it on my personal blog along with the transcript of it. One day I will post the blog. That will be my post for Monday is the blog that has the video and the transcript on it. Tuesday will be a quote card. So I will take quotes out of that video of things that I said or things that were relevant, and I will post those on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And they'll have something to do with the original video. They will point back either to my blog post or to the original video. They're all in the same theme. They're all about that one question that I was answering that week. So if you know who your audience is, and I mean, that comes back to really understanding your ideal client avatar, which if you don't know what I'm talking about with that, then go talk to Madeline and she will help you.
We can help. We definitely have a lot of cool resources to identify your target consumer and customer. So it can definitely be related to finding your ideal client here.
Because when you find that ideal client, then you're going to know the types of questions that they are asking and the things that they want to know. And then you're going to be able to answer those and split them up. And I've even split them up into like 5 small videos in the past as well. But then you have it on YouTube, you have it on your blog. And I mean, depending on what kind of business you're in, you do want to have some sort of landing page that is not owned by someone else, because Facebook at any time can put you in Facebook jail, and Instagram can shut down your account or your instant messages or anywhere else that you're at. You just have to know that you don't own that space and you are using that space at the pleasure of the company, even though it's free, that you are using it for. So if God forbid I lost my Facebook and my Instagram and everything, I still have my website that I can keep pointing people towards, that has my videos on it, that has my products on it, that has my blogs on it. I mean, dear God, that would suck, but if that happened, but you have that. And if you don't have even just at least a landing page where you can have some of your own, basically they call it your own real estate, you might want to look into getting that. And you can do those fairly easily with templates through, different, what's the word I'm looking for? Different companies like Squarespace, is that one?
Squarespace. So yeah. Oh gosh, Shopify, Wix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just website generators.
Do I ever take videos that I put on YouTube and cross-post them on IGTV? I don't. I think that's totally doable though. I think that's because anything that, a lot of times I have done my original video on Facebook Live. So I'll do a Facebook Live on my computer and I'll have my phone here and I'll do an Instagram Live and I'm doing them at the same time. And I just tell the audiences like, hey, I'm doing both. So sometimes I'm going to be looking at you, sometimes I'm not. Very vulnerable, very real, because I want to see where my audience is, who's showing up where, but then you can go to Facebook and you can download your video from Facebook and then upload it to YouTube. Like you can totally do that. So, repurposing content. Allison, you have the right idea. Anything you can do to repurpose content, especially if it's content that got a lot of comments or got a lot of whatever. I used to think, oh, I posted about that last year, I can't do it this year. No, most people haven't even seen your content from 3 months ago, let alone 3 years ago. So if you've posted any, feel free to repost and tweak it a little for where you're at now, because hopefully you're not the same business or person today that you were 3 years ago, but there might still be some relevant content that you're like, oh, I could like repurpose this a little, or I could make a new comment or put it on a new spin or whatever. So all sorts of ways that you can continue to repurpose, and people will still be intrigued and interested, and they won't feel like, oh my God, she's posting the same thing. You feel like you might be posting the same thing. No one, guarantee you, no one else is feeling that way. If it's your audience, they're going to be like, yay, they're posting the same thing. I liked that thing. So I'm glad they posted it again if they really love you. And that's who you want, raving fans who know, like, and trust you.
Awesome. Well, do we have any supplemental questions before we come out tonight? We go out tonight. That's not the right words. Before we end this webinar, Monday evening.
We're going out. Out the
Yeah.
country. See y'all there. Oh, am I allowed to say stuff like that on recorded library things? I feel like I should be proper.
I think it's okay to be vulnerable in yourself.
Allison, Amalia, James, Leah, Pam, Rich, Tisha, thank you so much for showing up. I am so honored that you would give, an hour of your time to listen to my ramblings about what I have learned. I hope that it was helpful to you guys tonight.
Yes, thank you so much, Erin. It was so much fun listening to your passion, expertise, and just your overall interest and experience in creating your own social media for your business. And I love the fact that you're kind of in the same boat. I love that solo-prenuer is who you are, and I think you carry the title very well. Well, to ring us out, I will just remind you all that this is recorded, and so I will be sending a recording to everyone who has registered for this webinar. If you would like to join us, so the next business webinar is not as fun as social media, but a different type of fun. So I'll be leading a webinar on researching your industry. So this is a really good class to kind of get a picture of where's the growth going to be? Is your business in a viable industry? Is there a market for it? Are people in our area interested in what you're producing? So we're going to be using some really awesome library resources, diving into some sweet data, and learning more about how you can set ourselves up for success. So
it is really exciting. I've been to that one before. It's really cool.
Oh,
like
nice.
the things that they can find out, y'all. Like I get geeked out over like hitting on Instagram, view your insights. This is like that on steroids. Like what? How do you know this about people? It's kind of, it's a little Big Brother, but it's awesome for business.
It is absolutely Big Brother. It is creepy and fun, which is maybe why I enjoy it. But it is just a great time to look at that data and how it can best benefit you in your entrepreneurial journey. So lastly, I'm Madeline Wolski, business librarian here. You can always book a one-on-one session with me, and I can help you get connected with resources to best start or grow your business. And if you have any questions about the library, just check out our website, champaign.org, or send us an email, librarian@champaign.org. And a huge round of applause and thank you to Erin Tarr. Erin, you put your Instagram handle in the chat earlier. I believe it was B.the.benchmark. That's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. That or Facebook, either one. And if they contact me and really want my text number, I'll probably give that to them too, because I'm very open.
Marvelous. Well, everyone here have a wonderful evening, and I hope the rest of your week is as great as it was tonight. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Erin.